We are live here in the Tate Center parking lot for the first time in a long time. Welcome in everyone to our Kroger Kickoff to begin the home slate for the Georgia Bulldogs here in 2019. 4 p.m. this afternoon, Georgia takes on Murray State. A lot of excitement about that. There are already thousands of people who've gathered around this walkway where we are right now. The Dawg Walk is scheduled to take place here in just a few minutes. Now, I'm going to say scheduled here for a moment because if you joined our Dawg Walk coverage last week from Nashville, you know that the Dawg Walk that we anticipated seeing, we actually never really got a chance to see. There was a weird traffic snafu. We had a chance to talk to Georgia running back Brian Herrion about that during the game. After the game, we had a chance to talk to a Georgia coach, Kirby Smart, about that there as well, as Harry Dawg stops by to join us here for a couple of minutes. They kind of all told the story of how when the team was coming through downtown Nashville and that traffic, even though it's a much smaller fan base and a much smaller university, the traffic getting to the game somehow is way worse than it is around Athens, even as you get close this time of day. There was a weird incident that caused the lead police officer and the police escort to pull away from the police escort, which put the number 2 person in charge. Now, I don't mean to put his business out there on blast, as the kids like to say, but apparently he didn't know where he was going, and therefore the Georgia buses never made it to the mouth of the Dawg Walk. And so last week, there was no Dawg Walk. Something tells me here, it's part of our Kroger Kickoff in Athens, Georgia, the Athens-Clarke County Police, the University of Georgia Police, so well-versed in these types of things for years and years. Something tells me that the Georgia team will arrive as it's supposed to here outside the stadium, and we'll get to see a Dawg Walk coming up a little less than 10 minutes from right now. Obviously, we'll take a lot of your questions and comments as we lead into that as a part of our Kroger Kickoff. And, of course, many of you getting that game day party going here this weekend. The best way to get stocked up for all of that, big savings at Kroger. Go to Kroger.com, the Kroger app. You can find coupons to download and an opportunity to use those in store here this weekend to get stocked up on everything you need for your game day party. Or for those of you who enjoy watching the brand of football played on Sundays, great chance to kind of get ready for that too. Don't know how well you can hear it, but a version of the Red Coat Band, at least part of the Red Coat Band, plays the Krypton theme behind us, which truly is a signifier that we got game day in Athens coming up. And apart from what happens on the football field, there are going to be 2 really big stories around the game today. Let me start with the less substantial first, and then I'll get to the big reason why so many people are here today after that. First of all, it is incredibly hot. The temperature reading by the time we kick this game off, we may reach somewhere in the neighborhood of 96 degrees. And as of right now, you can certainly feel that. Lots of people gather around here. We're in a asphalt parking lot. Heat bouncing off us, hitting us right back in the face once again. There is definitely a significant amount of heat that we're dealing with. We know that last week in, for instance, the Florida State-Boise State game, the ability to handle the hydration necessary for the heat, that became a storyline in that game. It's not expected that'll be the issue for Georgia. It's obviously been training in these moments for the entirety of the summer. Even before practices begin in late July, this is a football program that spends a lot of time outdoors, 7-on-7 work voluntarily during the month of June, for instance. Georgia has an indoor facility, but essentially only uses it at least for the totality of practice when it's raining and when you would be prohibited from being outside. They don't go indoors for practice very much because it's hot, and that's going to enable Georgia, through its hydration techniques and its just acclimation techniques, to be used to the heat. Shouldn't see them impacted by this too much, which will certainly be good news for fans who wait to see the game. The fans, on the other hand, y'all drink plenty of water. You don't need me to tell you that, but you need to do it nonetheless. It's going to be a rough one. Inside Sanford Stadium later on is going to be incredibly hot, so make sure you take good care of yourself. Of course, Kroger, a great stopover to get some water, by the way, if you're still on your way to a Sanford Stadium. Now, by the way, speaking of Sanford Stadium, the other big thing to talk about here before we take your questions and comments is that this venue, the one that I've been coming to for, more than 30 years now, is going to get itself a little bit of a new name today. It'll still be called Sanford Stadium, but it'll now be the playing surface anyway, known as Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium. The honor for the legendary former coach and athletic director Vince Dooley, who spent 25 years coaching this football team, generating 201 wins, and then in a career that also overlapped his time as athletic director, stretching 40 years, a guy that may have been the best steward of this university and this athletic department that anyone's ever seen. It is an honor that many folks think is long overdue, and today that honor will be bestowed upon him. And you better believe there are a lot of folks who are going to be packing up that tailgate just a little bit early, walking their way over to the stadium just a little earlier. They want to be in their seats for when all the former alumni gather around, all the dignitaries from the state of Georgia and the Dooley family, and, of course, Dooley himself, to see this become Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium. This is a ceremony that I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to hear from Coach Dooley later on about that. He's a guy that when he's spoken about these things in the past has been incredibly humble. He has deflected the attention. He's pointed the spotlight at other people, and this is certainly a chance to that. All right, we got some news coming in. Athens Banner-Herald reporting Isaiah Wilson walking into Sanford Stadium with Ron Corson. He does have a boot on his left foot and was using a crutch, so don't expect to see Wilson in the Dawg Walk here. Kirby Smart did confirm on his radio show on Thursday night that it is an ankle injury, initially reported as a lower leg issue for Isaiah Wilson. Smart did confirm it to be an ankle injury, and apparently that's going to keep Wilson out of uniform today, already in the stadium with Ron Corson, as the Athens Banner-Herald is reporting, with the boot and the crutch. So my guess is that means that Cade Mays probably steps in and starts at right tackle, which I'm assuming puts Ben Cleveland back at right guard. This is all unofficial, by the way. I'm assuming, is the expectation that Jamari Salyer going to be healthy and get a chance to play? So he's been at practice this week. So we could see a bit of a rotation in all three of those spots here this week. And I said this on Dawg Nation Daily this week, too, and I think it's worth repeating here. You can make a case that Jamari Salyer is among the more underrated players on this Georgia roster right now. We didn't see him early in the season a year ago the way we saw Cade Mays. I think Mays' presence during spring practice aided him in that regard. We also saw Salyer battling injury to start the season this year. However, let's not forget that Salyer was every bit the five-star prospect that Mays was and is, and getting a chance to go out there and play here this week, we may see Salyer show off some of the same traits that has made Mays certainly a fan favorite among UGA fans and an important part of this Georgia offensive line, whether he's in the first five, the way that he was last week, or serving in a reserve role, which is what he did for a lot of 2018. With a lot of that out of the way, let me kind of dive in here and get some of your questions and comments. And we're about, by my clock here, about 3 minutes away from the Dawg Walk, and you'll know that it's time. You'll hear a little bit different brand of cheer go up, a concerted cheer that recognizes the buses, and then the players who, in the Kirby Smart era, have made it their tradition to wear the business attire, the sport coats, and in some cases ties, in some cases bow ties. Other guys take a kind of a fashion-forward approach to how they like to show themselves off. That's what you'll see here coming up from them in just a moment, and it'll be a ton of fun to see when we get a chance to see that. With that said, let me pull in here in our Kroger Kickoff and get some of your questions and comments, and we will get ready to go here. Cameron in our Facebook comment section says, Cameron Thompson says, it's reached 97 already, and that's certainly about what you think. It's about that hot for sure here. Matt Rukavina says Vegas losing a lot of money today. He cites Michigan, cites Syracuse. Be careful with this on Syracuse, though. Even though they were a ranked team in that game, Maryland was the point spread favorite. Kind of a tricky deal there coming out of the Big Ten ACC crossover matchup there. That it was Maryland who was the favorite. But thus far, I mean, I will tell you, I've been quite surprised by the fact that Army has hung with Michigan as well as it did. Army, who was certainly a very good team a year ago, did not play well week one against Rice, and so it was a little surprising to see them playing as well with Michigan as they are right now. A little bit of trouble with my Facebook comments. I don't know if we got an internet pull out here or what. Let me pull up on YouTube here for a moment. I'll take a few of those. We'll go back over to Facebook again in just a moment. Of course, we'll continue to take your comments as a part of our Kroger Kickoff as we get ready for the Dawg Walk coming up in just a moment. Of course, it's great to have you with us as a part of our Kroger Kickoff here today. Dawg Walk coming up, and it is on the way. Ryan Jackson checking in, Dog fan all the way from Virginia. Ryan, good to have you part of the program. Appreciate that. Georgia Peach signing that triple option from Army. Yeah, that's been a load for a lot of teams to deal with, and really for a long time it was Navy who, as the service academy, was using the triple option to great effect. We've seen with Monken now at Army, it's been that program that's kind of stepped up from those service academies and done well. Army got some preseason top 25 votes. This is a team that took Oklahoma to overtime last year, for instance. Very different kind of defense, though, when you take on Michigan. So we'll see how that game progresses the rest of the way as a part of our Kroger Kickoff here today with the Dawg Walk coming up. Joseph Herndon says Vandy in a fight right now. I haven't seen a score for Vandy and Purdue, but I'd love to see one. Thanks for that. Devin Glenn with a nice prediction here saying that George Pickens will definitely get his first touchdown today. Looking forward to seeing that if that prediction does indeed come true. I think it has a strong chance of coming true. I think that Pickens was targeted a good bit last week and drew a pass interference penalty at one point in time and was targeted then down near the goal line a couple times there as well. So he was certainly used in that regard, and we'll look forward to see if that indeed take place. Let me pop back over to Facebook and see if my Facebook is kind of cleared up here a little bit. See if I can get those comments up and rolling. How about I get back in? We'll see. There we go. Now we're back on Facebook. Christopher Cohn, thanks for checking in, says deployed in Kuwait. Christopher, I appreciate you checking in on our Kroger Kickoff here today, and we certainly appreciate your support of Dawg Nation and your service to our country, more importantly than anything else. Thank you so much for that. Now, I'll jokingly say that being in Kuwait, you'd feel right at home in Athens here today. I don't know if we're going to quite hit the mercury what you guys are going to do there in Kuwait, but it certainly feels like that as far as I'm concerned. Mike Streaker says it's Purdue 14-10 at the half there over Vanderbilt. So after Vanderbilt was a Week 1 loser to Georgia on the road in the Big Ten against a Purdue team that looked pretty good at times last year, beating Ohio State, for instance. So far, the Boilermakers holding on to a little bit of a lead. Ricky Morgan with some nice words there for Christopher. Appreciate that, Ricky. Thanks for checking in. Gary Shepard also thanks for checking in with that halftime score from Purdue and Vanderbilt. We appreciate that. Matt Rukavino on the subject of Maryland beating Syracuse right now that the Michael Locksley era is looking strong. Yeah, Locksley's been a pretty outspoken coach at Maryland since leaving Alabama as its OC to head over that way. I mean, this is a guy that I think has a lot of confidence, which is kind of funny because it shows you the rehabilitation, abilities of Nick Saban, because coming off Locksley's stint as coach in New Mexico, I think that confidence was probably not something you would use to describe his feelings about himself, I'm guessing. But after doing the work that he did as Alabama offensive coordinator a year ago, all of a sudden he feels maybe like a brand new coach, and he's taking a lot of energy with him there at College Park, Maryland. So we'll follow to see how that goes today. Speaking of predictions for how Georgia may do, Chad Buchanan says Zeus is going to get in today. And, yeah, we saw Zeus enter the game for the first time in the second half a week ago. My guess is we may see that a little earlier in this game. It'll be interesting to see how that pecking order with the running backs goes. Brian Harry and DeAndre Swift likely used a lot. Last week we saw a lot in the entirety of the game from James Cook. Zamir White had his turn there as well. So it's a deep and talented crop of running backs. My guess is Georgia wants to use all four of those. And then a fifth running back that did travel to Vanderbilt but didn't get an opportunity to play, the freshman Kenny McIntosh. This may be a time for him to make his Bulldogs debut here, too, at the running back position as well. Tim Wilson says on our Facebook comment section as part of our Kroger Kickoff, hey, B.A., do we see Blaylock a good bit today? And White. We talked about Zamir White a moment ago. I do think this is a big day for Dominic Blaylock. I think that Blaylock's probably close to playing anyway. I think he's in the rotation. And with the injury to Karis Jackson, as much as you hate that for Karis, who had done some really good work to get his way into the starting lineup for Week 1. Boy, I'm hearing some cheers that lets us know that the Dawg Walk might be ready to begin. So let me finish off the point that I was making. Connor says it's a false start. Listen, it's the beginning of the season for the crowd as well, okay? So much like the players have to kind of work through their rhythm and timing, the crowd kind of doing this the same way. So there's some cheers going up, but as of yet, this is a nice cheer. Actually, instead of being for the football team, you're going to see Joni Taylor and the Lady Dogs basketball team walking by here. This is something we saw a year ago in promotion for an event coming up called Stegmania. These student athletes from UGA coming on by to be ambassadors for their own program, helping with their own PR campaign here. I think this is a really cool, classy thing to see. I think that Joni Taylor's done a great job with that Lady Dogs basketball team. So nice to see them out promoting this. We'll probably see the men's basketball team here coming up in another week or so as well. They'll do some promotion on that. And I have been given the indication that we could be getting very close to the actual Dawg Walk. The Georgia players themselves coming by here in just a moment. So let me try to finish the point I was making on Dominic Blaylock before we get there as a part of our Kroger Kickoff. The Karis Jackson injury should open that door for Blaylock, and Kirby Smart talked about him this week. We should see a good bit of communication about that and a lot of action on the field from Blaylock here today. I'm going to step aside for the Kroger Kickoff, let Connor Riley get in position to show a lot of this kind of stuff. We'll let some of the young Dog fans who are in front of us can kind of step right here and see some of this if they would like to. And we'll get ready to bring this to you as Georgia coaches and players come by and get a chance to the first thing you'll see is the American flag, then the big Georgia G flag after that. And then it'll be Kirby Smart and the Georgia players walking by here too. Kind of a hushed anticipation from the crowd at this moment as they wait for their first glimpse. But players have gotten off the bus. I see Cade Mays outside the bus, standing next to him, as tall as he can be. Andrew Thomas, the Georgia left tackle. And here come the Georgia cheerleaders. They're walking by. Big cheer going up. Georgia Murray State coming up at 4 p.m. The ceremony to honor Vince Dooley and Dooley Field before that. Thanks so much for being a part of our Kroger Kickoff here on the Dawg Nation video channels. Make sure you check out Kroger for all your pregame needs, game watching parties, Halloween coming up, big savings there as well. Georgia cheerleaders making their way through. Here comes Harry Dawg too. I see DeAndre Swift coming by, working the line across the aisle from us. He's got a tie and tennis shoes. Here's going to be Cade Mays right there in front of your screen. Cade Mays coming by, ready for business. Brian Harrion. Here's Georgia quarterback Jake Fromm giving high fives to all the fans in attendance. Young fan also got a selfie there. There's Demetrius Robertson, Dominic Blaylock. Good to see a whole host of Georgia players. Eric Stokes saying hello. There's Charlie Warner, Georgia offensive line coach Sam Pittman here as well, soaking this up and taking it in. Trey Blunt coming by, a Georgia receiver. There's John Fitzpatrick, one of the Georgia tight ends. Georgia making its way for the Dawg Walk for the first time at Sanford Stadium in 2019. And for the very first time, they'll put their feet on the ground that will be known as Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium. How about Nakobe Dean, by the way, over there, making an early push for fashion winner for today. Looking pretty good with some suede loafers. Sockless look. Here's Georgia coach Kirby Smart saying hello to a lot of the fans, giving some high fives, making sure he stops to say hello to a lot of those young fans. There's Zamir White. More of a smile than you usually see from Zeus pregame. He's enjoying this. He's taking it in, having a good time. And why not? On a day when the Dawg Walk is rolling good. Boy, there's Nolan Smith, also a kind of a conservative button-down suit and tie look for Nolan. You love to see that. Good look. There's Trayvon Walker as well. Boy, this freshman class has brought some style to the Dawg Walk. This is a well-dressed bunch. Notori Johnson no longer sporting multicolored hair, but looking great nonetheless. A little seersucker from Notori there as well, which is a nice choice on a hot day. So a great time as the Georgia coaches and players make their way through. Dawg Walk, I would say the first one here at Sanford Stadium for the 2019 season, and the first one in the venue that's about to be known as Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium. Got to chalk this one up as a success. Let me give you a couple of ideas about what's to come later on today here on Dawg Nation. In the game during the forum at forum.dawgnation.com. Make sure you check out. We have everything going on with that. Also, I'll see you in the UGA bookstore immediately after the game for our Dawg Nation post-game show. Come on by and see us. We'll be up there on the second floor. And then, of course, dawgnation.com for all your post-game coverage as well from Jeff Sintel, Mike Griffith, Connor Riley, and the entire Dawg Nation team. Thanks for being a part of our Kroger Kickoff. Make sure you use Kroger for anything you got going on in terms of your tailgate, your game-watching parties, anything all season long. I'll see you after the game for the Dawg Nation post-game show from the UGA bookstore right here on these Dawg Nation video channels. Congratulations to Coach Dooley, and enjoy the game, everybody.